It was a bright Saturday morning in Charlotte, North Carolina. The sun hung proudly in the sky, lighting up the garden of the Blueberry Ridge Inn, where a small, private wedding was being set up. White roses, gold ribbons, and cream-colored chairs decorated the place. Guests began to arrive, dressed in their best clothes, holding gifts and smiles. But there was one guest no one expected or wanted to see. Her name was Marilyn Carter. She was 66 years old, with silver-streaked hair pulled into a tight bun, red lipstick, and a long red coat that swayed with each step. Her heels clicked against the stone pavement as she walked through the garden. Her presence turned heads, not because she was a stranger, but because she wasn't. Marilyn had been in a relationship with the groom, Jordan Rice, for over 2 years. It had started off quietly. She was his landlady, and over time, she became his lover. Despite the 35-year age gap, Marilyn believed Jordan truly loved her. She gave him money, helped him get a car, and even paid off some of his debts. In her heart, he was her last chance at real love. She never imagined he would betray her. Marilyn had not been invited to the wedding. She found out about it 3 days ago when a neighbor slipped and mentioned it. At first, she thought it was a joke. But when she drove to a bridal shop and saw Jordan coming out with a young woman holding a white gown, her heart dropped. That's when she knew it was all true. The bride-to-be was named Olivia Banks, a 28-year-old nurse. She was tall, elegant, and everything Marilyn was not. Marilyn couldn't believe it. Jordan had told her he loved her just last week. He even slept in her bed the night before he proposed to Olivia. Marilyn's mind raced, twisting with betrayal and rage. She decided she needed answers. And if she couldn't get them, she would make sure no one else had Jordan either. As Marilyn entered the wedding venue, she kept her eyes fixed on the stage where the groom would soon stand. People whispered. Some recognized her. Others had no idea who the older woman in red was. But one person did, Jordan. From behind a set of bushes, he saw her arrive. His face turned pale. Olivia was still inside the building getting dressed, unaware of the storm walking toward them. Jordan approached Marilyn quickly, trying to keep his voice down. "What are you doing here, Marilyn?" he hissed. "You lied to me, Jordan," she said calmly, almost too calmly. "You told me I was your forever, that we were planning something special. I didn't mean to hurt you," he whispered, eyes darting around. "Please, just go. You were never going to tell me, were you?" she asked. "You were going to marry her and pretend I never existed." "Please," he said, trying to take her hand. "We'll talk later. Just not now." But Marilyn pulled her hand away. She had a small purse hanging from her shoulder, and inside it was a gun she had bought years ago, long before she ever met Jordan. She brought it for protection. Today, it had a different purpose. Jordan walked away from her, adjusting his suit nervously, thinking she would leave. He had no idea she was still watching, still waiting. And in Marilyn's mind, there was only one way this wedding would end: in blood. Inside the bridal suite, Olivia Banks looked at herself in the mirror and smiled. Her white gown hugged her figure perfectly, with lace details on the sleeves and pearls along the neckline. Her long dark hair was curled softly, and her veil was pinned in place with silver combs. Around her stood her best friend Tara, her cousin Naomi, and her younger sister Lily. They giggled and snapped photos, not knowing the storm brewing just outside. "Are you ready to be Mrs. Jordan Rice?" Tara asked playfully. Olivia laughed. "I've never been more ready. He's my everything. I still can't believe today is real." But something in the air felt strange. Olivia couldn't name it, but there was a slight tension she hadn't felt before. She brushed it off as wedding day nerves. After all, everything had gone perfectly. The flowers, the weather, the guests. It was a dream. She didn't know about Marilyn. She didn't know about the red coat, or the woman who had loved her groom first. Back in the garden, Jordan wiped his sweaty forehead with a handkerchief and looked around nervously. He saw Marilyn still standing near the back row, holding her small purse tightly. She hadn't left. She hadn't caused a scene yet, but her eyes burned into him like fire. He tried to think of what to do. If Olivia saw her, it could ruin everything. And if Marilyn did something, God forbid. He quickly walked over to his best man, Malik, and whispered, "Listen, there's a woman here I used to know. If she makes a scene, just get her out quietly, okay?" Malik looked confused. "Who is she?" "Just someone I dated. A long time ago." Jordan's lie was thin, but Malik nodded. "All right, man. We'll handle it." As guests were seated, soft music began to play. The wedding was about to begin. Inside the suite, Olivia was told it was time. She took a deep breath, hugged her sister, and picked up her bouquet of ivory roses. Her father met her at the door with a proud smile. "You look like your mother," he said gently. "She would have loved this." Olivia nodded, holding back tears. "Thanks, Dad." Outside, Marilyn moved slowly toward the middle row of seats. No one dared stop her. Some whispered, but no one knew exactly who she was. She found a seat right at the end of a row, perfect view of the altar. Her hand slipped into her purse. Her fingers curled around the cold handle of the pistol. The music shifted. Olivia stepped into view. She looked radiant, glowing under the sunlight. Guests stood up. Phones rose in the air to capture the moment. Jordan turned and saw her, but his smile faded when he spotted the woman in red. Still there, still watching. He tried to stay calm, tried to keep smiling, but his hands were shaking. As Olivia walked down the aisle, her eyes met Jordan's. She saw something there. Not joy, not excitement, but fear. What was he so scared of? She followed his eyes and saw her. Marilyn. She turned to her father and whispered, "Who's that woman?" "I don't know," he replied quietly, now also sensing something was wrong. Jordan's heart pounded. He could hear nothing but his own breath. Marilyn stood slowly as Olivia reached the altar. No one noticed at first. Then she opened her purse and pulled out the gun. Screams filled the air. Chaos erupted. And then, bang! Jordan fell to the ground, his white shirt soaked in red. Guests screamed. Olivia dropped her bouquet. Marilyn stood still, arm extended, face blank. She had waited for this moment. She had planned it perfectly. And now, the man she loved, the man who betrayed her, was lying dead on the day. He said, "I do," to someone else. The sound of the gunshot echoed across the garden like thunder, stopping time for everyone there. Jordan Rice lay sprawled on the ground, blood blooming across his chest like a red flower. His eyes were wide open, confused, shocked. He gasped once, trying to speak, but no words came. He blinked, once, twice, and then nothing. Olivia screamed louder than anyone. "Jordan!" she cried, dropping to her knees beside him. Her white dress instantly stained with his blood. "No, no, no, please, Jordan. Stay with me." All around, people screamed, ran, ducked, or froze in place. Some guests pulled out their phones. Others pulled children behind chairs. The violinist dropped her instrument and ran behind a bush. The garden that was moments ago peaceful and full of love now felt like a battlefield. And Marilyn Carter, didn't move. She stood still, holding the gun in her hand, her chest rising and falling with slow, heavy breaths. Her eyes never left Jordan's body. Her red coat blew gently in the wind, the same color now spilling across the ground. Malik, Jordan's best man, rushed at her, yelling, "You crazy witch! What have you done? Stay back!" Marilyn barked, raising the gun again. Malik froze, but her hand trembled now. Her anger was fading, replaced by something else, maybe regret, maybe emptiness. Security guards from the venue finally arrived, cautiously approaching her. "Ma'am, put the gun down." "Put it down now," another said. But Marilyn didn't hear them. Her mind was somewhere else. In her mind, she saw Jordan as he was when they first met, young, lost, but charming. He used to come to her house every week to pay rent in cash. Until one day, he stayed to talk. Then another day. Then nights. They watched old movies together, drank wine, made love. He said things that made her believe in love again. She was old, yes, but he made her feel young, wanted, alive. She gave him money, let him use her car, bought him clothes. She even paid off his credit card. She believed he loved her. She thought it was real, but it wasn't. It was all lies. That's what burned the most. "I loved you," she whispered. "You lied to me." Police sirens howled in the distance now. Guests backed away, some hiding behind hedges and chairs. Olivia still knelt beside Jordan, her hands soaked in his blood, weeping uncontrollably. Her veil fell off, blown by the wind. A police officer approached slowly with his gun drawn. "Ma'am, put the weapon down. Please." Marilyn finally turned to face him. Her eyes were tired. She dropped the gun. It hit the grass with a soft thud. Two officers tackled her to the ground, placing her in handcuffs. She didn't resist. As they read her rights, she said softly, "He was mine before he was hers." The officers exchanged looks. One shook his head. In the background, Olivia screamed again, louder than before. No, this isn't real. This can't be real. Blood soaked the wedding aisle. The white roses, the gold ribbons, the cream chairs, all ruined. All stained. Jordan Rice was gone. His secret had cost him everything. And Marilyn Carter, the woman in red, had just destroyed 3 lives with a single bullet. It was nearly sunset when the police finished clearing the crime scene. Guests were sent home. Some gave statements, others left in shock. The wedding had become a crime scene. What was meant to be a day of love had turned into a nightmare. Inside the police car, Marilyn Carter sat in silence. Her hands were cuffed behind her back. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. She just stared straight ahead. At the police station, she was processed like any other criminal, mugshot, fingerprints, paperwork. But her case was far from ordinary. A 66-year-old woman shooting her 31-year-old lover on his wedding day was not something that happened every day. Detective Laura Simmons, a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and a calm voice, was assigned to question Marilyn. She entered the room with a file in her hand and sat across from her. "You know why you're here, Marilyn," she said softly. Marilyn nodded once. "I need you to help me understand what happened from the beginning." Marilyn looked at her for a moment, then took a deep breath. "He lied to me. For years." "You were in a relationship with Jordan?" "Yes. Since he was 29. I was his landlady. He was charming. Sweet. He told me he loved me. He made me feel alive again." Detective Simmons listened carefully, jotting down notes. "He said I was all he needed," Marilyn continued. "We made plans. We talked about moving to the mountains. I gave him money, my time, my body. And then I found out about her." "Olivia, did you know he was engaged?" "No," Marilyn said sharply. "He never told me. I found out by accident. 3 days before the wedding. I followed him to a bridal store. I saw her in the window trying on a dress. He kissed her like I didn't exist." Simmons leaned forward. "Why didn't you walk away?" Marilyn looked down at her hands. "Because you don't walk away from someone you gave your soul to." Meanwhile, back at the hospital, Olivia sat in a waiting room, wrapped in a blanket, her face pale and swollen from crying. She refused to leave, even though Jordan had died at the scene. She kept hoping someone would say it was a mistake. Her sister Lily sat beside her, holding her hand. "Liv, I don't even know what to say. I'm so sorry. She just walked in," Olivia whispered. "She just walked in and shot him like he was nothing." "Do you know who she is?" Olivia hesitated, then shook her head. "No. But Jordan once told me there was an older woman he used to rent from. I think her name was Marilyn." Lily frowned. "You think that's her?" She looked at me like I stole something from her. Back at the station, Detective Simmons pressed further. "Did you plan to kill him, Marilyn?" Marilyn paused. "No. I just wanted to stop the wedding. I wanted to make him talk to me. Tell me the truth. I brought the gun to scare him, but when I saw him smile at her, everything inside me snapped. You shot him in front of everyone." "I know," she whispered. "And I'll never take it back." "Why not?" Marilyn looked at her with cold, glassy eyes. "Because if I couldn't have him, no one else would." Detective Simmons closed her file. "Well, Marilyn, you're going to prison. Probably for the rest of your life." Marilyn nodded slowly. "At least I won't die alone. Everyone will remember me, not as some old woman left behind, but as the woman he lied to." Outside the station, the media began to swarm. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Who was the woman in red? Was this revenge? Why would a 66-year-old kill her lover on his wedding day? The truth was beginning to unfold. And Olivia, the bride who had become a widow in the space of a second, was left alone to pick up the pieces. 3 days had passed since the wedding day turned into a crime scene. The newspapers called it The Bride and the Bullet. Social media was flooded with photos of Marilyn in her red coat, Jordan lying in blood, and Olivia's broken face at the altar. People had questions. How could this happen? Who was Marilyn Carter, really? And what kind of relationship had she and Jordan truly shared? Detective Laura Simmons was still deep in the case. Although Marilyn had confessed to the shooting, there were still many layers to uncover. What had really gone on between the two lovers? And was Olivia completely in the dark? At the station, Detective Simmons sat in front of her desk, reviewing a stack of evidence. She had requested Jordan's phone records, financial statements, and even searched his apartment. What she found painted a very different picture of the men everyone thought they knew. Jordan wasn't just a victim of love. He was also a manipulator. In his emails, There were conversations with Marilyn, long ones. Promises of love. Requests for money. Pleas for help. He called her sweetheart, angel, and even future wife at one point. He told her he wanted to grow old with her, even while dating Olivia behind her back. One email read, "Marilyn, you saved me. I don't know where I'd be without you. I know people don't understand our love, but I don't care what they think. You're my home." But only 2 weeks later, he messaged a friend. "She's useful, man. Old, rich, lonely. I just gotta be sweet," and she hands over her wallet. Detective Simmons sighed. It was all making sense now. Marilyn wasn't just a jilted older woman. She had been played, lied to, and she had snapped. Meanwhile, Olivia sat at her kitchen table, surrounded by unopened letters and sympathy cards. The apartment still smelled like the roses from the wedding. Her dress hung on the door, dried blood on the hem. Her phone buzzed. It was a call from Detective Simmons. "Olivia, I think we should talk. There are things about Jordan you need to know." Olivia agreed to meet the detective at the station. She arrived an hour later, wearing a black sweater, her face pale and tired. Simmons didn't waste time. She placed copies of Jordan's emails on the desk. "I'm sorry, Olivia, but you deserve to know the truth. Jordan wasn't just hiding you from Marilyn. He was using her." Olivia read the messages slowly. Her hands shook. "He told her he loved her," she whispered. "He promised her everything he promised me." "Yes," Simmons said. "He was living two lives. And unfortunately, he underestimated how far Marilyn would go when she felt betrayed." Olivia dropped the papers and stood up. "I need some air." She stepped outside the station, feeling like she was losing her mind. Everything had been a lie. Her fiancé, the man she was going to spend her life with, had played both her and another woman. She felt disgusted. And strangely, a small part of her even felt pity for Marilyn. That night, Olivia went home and opened Jordan's last gift to her. A necklace in a small velvet box. A note inside read, "Forever starts today. I love you, Jordan." She dropped it on the floor. Across town, in her jail cell, Marilyn sat on her narrow bed, staring at the wall. A radio played in the hallway. A news anchor's voice said her name again and again. She was infamous now, just like she had wanted. But fame didn't fill the empty space inside her. Nothing could. She whispered to herself, "I gave him everything, and he gave me nothing but lies." And Olivia? She was left with only one thing, the truth. The man they both loved had lived two lives, and died because of it. For months later, the case of State versus Marilyn Carter began in the Charlotte County Courthouse. The courtroom was packed. Reporters filled the back row. Every seat was taken. Some people came out of curiosity. Others came because they wanted justice for Jordan Rice. And some came to see if the rumors were true, that love, when twisted with lies, could turn deadly. Marilyn Carter walked into the courtroom wearing an orange jumpsuit. Her hair, now gray and loose around her shoulders, made her look older than 66. She walked slowly, eyes forward, expression unreadable. Her attorney, a middle-aged man named Grant Rossner, whispered something to her, but she didn't respond. Sitting just a few rows back was Olivia. She wore all black, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Since Jordan's death, she had become quieter, colder. She no longer cried in public. People whispered that she had changed completely. The judge called the room to order. The trial began. The prosecution opened strong. Assistant District Attorney Jamie North stood tall and clear. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," he began, "this is not a complicated case." On May 17th, Marilyn Carter walked into a wedding uninvited. She brought a loaded firearm, aimed it at Jordan Rice, and fired a fatal shot, killing him instantly. This was not self-defense. This was not a mistake. This was murder. He pointed to the screen behind him, where a photo of Marilyn, holding the weapon, was shown. She planned it. She knew what she was doing. She didn't just want to stop the wedding. She wanted to end Jordan's life. Then it was the defense's turn. Grant Rossner stood and adjusted his glasses. "This is a case about heartbreak, about betrayal, about a woman who gave her heart to a man who used her, lied to her, and left her. My client, Miss Carter, is not a monster. She is a woman who was emotionally destroyed. She was pushed to the edge by the cruel actions of a man who pretended to love her." Marilyn sat quietly during all of this, her eyes on the table in front of her. One by one, the witnesses were called. Malik, Jordan's best friend, testified. She came out of nowhere. Jordan looked scared when he saw her. I didn't know who she was until I saw the gun. Lily, Olivia's sister, said. We didn't even know she existed. That woman destroyed my sister's life. Then came the most emotional witness, Olivia Banks. She took the stand slowly, looked at the jury, and spoke in a calm, flat voice. He told me he loved me, she said. He proposed to me while he was still sleeping with her. I didn't know. I didn't know anything about her. Do you hate Marilyn Carter? The defense asked her gently. Olivia paused. No, I don't. I hate what she did. But the truth is, I think we were both victims. That statement sent whispers through the courtroom. Then came the evidence, dozens of love letters, emails, bank statements showing money Jordan took from Marilyn, and voice messages where he promised her forever. The jury looked uneasy. Some even looked sad. But the law was the law. On the final day of the trial, Marilyn took the stand herself. I loved him, she said, her voice cracking. I thought we had something real. When I found out he was marrying someone else, I broke. I didn't go there to kill him. But when I saw him smiling at her, like I didn't exist, I lost control. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I wish I could take it back, but I can't, and I have to live with that. When closing arguments ended, the jury left to decide her fate. Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed. Reporters asked questions. Olivia left through the side exit, trying to avoid them all. Inside, Marilyn sat alone in her holding cell, waiting. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. 6 long, silent hours during which Marilyn Carter sat in her holding cell, staring at the cold gray walls. She didn't ask for a lawyer. She didn't cry. She didn't pray. She just waited. Upstairs, in the courtroom, Olivia sat with her sister Lily, her fingers nervously fidgeting with the hem of her sleeve. Reporters leaned forward, pens ready. The room was filled with a strange tension, half tragedy, half curiosity. Then, at 4:17 p.m., the courtroom doors opened. The jury was back. Everyone stood as the judge entered. Marilyn was brought in and seated quietly beside her lawyer. Her eyes showed no fear, no hope, just acceptance. The judge looked toward the foreman. Has the jury reached a verdict? We have, Your Honor, the foreman said. The clerk stood and read. On the charge of first-degree murder, we find the defendant guilty. A gasp swept through the courtroom. Some in the crowd nodded in agreement. A few shook their heads. Olivia closed her eyes but didn't cry. Marilyn blinked, but her face didn't change. She knew. The judge thanked the jury and then turned to Marilyn. Ms. Carter, you have been found guilty of murder in the first degree. You took a life in cold blood, and you did so in front of dozens of witnesses. The law does not excuse heartbreak as a reason for violence. You are hereby sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. There was a heavy silence. Marilyn nodded once, as if she had sentenced herself long ago. As she was led away in handcuffs, Olivia stood. Their eyes met, for the first and last time. Neither of them spoke. But in that silent moment, a strange understanding passed between them. They had both loved the same man, and both had lost everything because of it. 3 years later, the wedding garden at Blueberry Ridge Inn had been redesigned. The bloodstained memories, replaced by fresh roses and new decorations. Couples now said their vows there again, but everyone in the town remembered what happened in May 2025. Marilyn Carter remained in North Carolina Women's Correctional Facility. She didn't speak to the media. She refused all interviews. Her cell was filled with books and old photos of her younger self. She spent her days reading, knitting, and sometimes staring at the wall, lost in memories of Jordan, both beautiful and bitter. As for Olivia, she moved to Asheville. She opened a small counseling practice for women who had suffered heartbreak, betrayal, or emotional abuse. She never married, never even dated again, but she had found a quiet strength and peace. She kept one photo of Jordan, hidden in a drawer, not because she missed him, but because she wanted to remember the lesson. That love, without honesty, can destroy. Till death do us part.